There's an ancient Chinese curse that goes something like, "May you live in interesting times." And our times have certainly got far more interesting in the last week, whether we like it or not. Anyone who's watched my previous videos knows that I talk about a guy named Curtis Yarvin a fair bit, aka Mencius Mulbug. Yarvin has written a lot of very interesting things about the dissident right or reactionary right, and so you'll hear his name brought up a lot. He's created a lot of valuable concepts and language that we use, like the cathedral. So many people are pretty excited about his work, but one thing that most people who read his work are not very excited about is his plan on change. One of the things that many people criticize heavily or just plain don't like, it's not to their taste, is that Yarvin is very much about passive change, that Yarvin is very much about letting the change come to him. One of the things that Curtis Yarvin talks about is the importance of becoming worthy. When Yarvin is talking about how the current neoliberal order will collapse and how change will come about, he basically says, be a pacifist. Sit back and let it happen. It's guaranteed to happen eventually. Our job is not necessarily to push these events forward, but really more to sit back and wait. The collapse will come eventually. The system cannot possibly continue the way it's going. And when that happens, people will be looking for new ideas. They'll be looking for ideas that work, that map correctly onto reality. They'll be looking for new leaders with fresh and interesting things to say. People who are willing to move things into a different direction. Now, nobody likes this. I don't like this. When I read this from Yarvin, I was not a fan. I said what most people probably said. Look, these things aren't necessarily guaranteed. These things won't necessarily happen on their own. We can't just sit back passively. We all want to see some big top-down solution. We all want to see some big, large-scale swing affected in a quick manner that we can be a part of. But that's not necessarily how change works. And we need to understand that real change is going to require long, hard work from us. It's going to be a waiting game. It's going to be a process of bettering ourselves and building ourselves up and working on our connections, working on our networks, working on our theories, becoming better people, becoming people who are worthy of leadership, developing values and virtues that are worth adopting. These are the things that we need to do. These are the things that we need to prepare for. We may not be able to immediately put these things into action anywhere but in our own lives, in our own small circles. But by doing that, we will be preparing ourselves. We will be becoming worthy. Hearing that we need to become worthy is something that's very difficult because it's a change we have to make in ourselves. The results may not seem immediate, and they certainly won't immediately make a change on the world. But if we ourselves are not worthy, then when the time comes, no one will be looking for our leadership. We want to put ourselves in a position so that when the big changes come, when the order does fall, when it comes time to look for new and different values, new and different ways of ordering things, we look competent. We look disciplined. We look like we have our lives and our thoughts and our ideas under control, that we've mastered our passions, that we've built things in our lives that people look up to. These are the leaders people want. These are the ideas that people want to adopt. These are the things that make people want to adopt your principles and your values, is seeing that you are worthy to lead, that you are worthy of emulation, that the things you value are worthy of being followed. As we look at our cities in flames, as we see people getting beaten in the streets, as we see the media and politicians and academia lying over and over again, spouting new and more ridiculous cathedral narratives, it's easy to get frustrated. There's going to be a lot of videos on how the riots happen and why they happen and what happens next, and I may eventually go back and do that video, but that's not what this video is. This video is a video about encouragement. This video is about what matters. We need to focus on what's ahead of us, what's going to come. As I'm recording this, it seems like increased police presence and military presence has reduced some of the violence. Hopefully things will get more under control. But whether this rages for another week or if it ended yesterday, we all know this isn't the end of the issue. If you're coming at this from a dissident right or neo-reactionary perspective, you know that the things that are wrong with society go far beyond what caused this riot. You know that these problems are going to continue, and none of the vague and impotent solutions being offered by the media or any other part of the cathedral right now is going to really make a difference. You know that there's going to be more of this in the future. Even when the fires are out, the embers will still be glowing. This will still be waiting for just another spark. Even if things calm down, even if things rebuild, we know that we will all just be sitting on a powder keg waiting for the next match to be thrown. And because we know that it is important to plan for the future, it's important to keep hope. It's important to maintain discipline. It's important to keep in mind what you're building for and what the goal is. We need to rededicate ourselves to improving our mind, body, and spirit. I know it's going to sound like a Jordan Peterson clean up your room thing, but look, that trope exists because it's true. He tapped into something with that because it's true. It invokes the heroic narrative, okay? We have to become worthy. We have to improve. We have to grow. We have to become more. And then we can make a change. And then people will be interested in our ideas and the way in which we want to pursue virtue. But if we don't do that, if we don't put the time in ourselves, people will not be interested. And when the bad things come, we won't be prepared. So we don't need to look at the flames and despair. It's easy to look at what's happening and despair. It's easy to look at what was happening in our country over the last week and lose hope. But we can't. We need to remember what we're fighting for. We need to remember why we're right-wing in the first place, because we understand that we are part of the great chain, that we are fighting for a better culture, a better society, a place where we can create families and build bonds and have communities and raise children and build something true and meaningful and beautiful. That's what we're here for, and we cannot lose hope. So get back at it, guys. Improve yourself, work with your networks, build networks, create ideas, create content, write articles, make videos, develop thoughts, share them with others, build camaraderie, work hard at your job, improve your status, find someone, build a relationship, build a family, reach out to community members. We have to keep moving forward. I used to seriously doubt that Yarvin was right. I used to seriously doubt that the system would collapse under its own weight. I certainly didn't expect it to happen really in my lifetime. But looking at the events over the last week, our timeline to become worthy might be growing much shorter. Things might be happening much faster than we had anticipated. And while I'm not an accelerationist, because I've studied too much history, I am not hoping for the kind of things that come with collapse and regime change. But if those things come, we need to be worthy. So don't lose hope, my friends. Worship your God. Better yourself, mind, body, and spirit. Reach out to others. Encourage each other. Build new ideas. We have a lot to do and a lot less time than we thought we might have to do it.